Welcome everybody. How are you doing today? It's so very nice to have you here. And today I wanted to speak a little more about our 3-week intensive on who am I, are you the doer, Sahaja Sthiti, and awakening. And we just had our first meeting this Sunday, and we are going to continue for the next 2 weeks. And you can still sign up for the 2 weeks if you would like to. And we have been speaking about these topics for a while now, and I wanted to continue in this intensive. And this is really, again, an invitation in particularly for all my returning students. I wanted to continue with these topics in this intensive because I wanted to take it from the more general statement and question, are you the doer, to a more practical and very moment-by-moment exploration of what does that mean practically in your moment-by-moment experience. And we have been diving into this last Sunday, and that's what made this call so very powerful. Because our sense of doership is really reinforced by our reliance on the sense of I, on thoughts, on the mind, all the same thing, right? So the more we rely on the sense of I, the more we rely on the mind, the more that sense of doership is reinforced. And that really is, how the mind works. There's this constant outgoing tendency that creates the illusion of continuation, right? Because, when you wake up in the morning and the mind arises, or the sense of I arises, and, there's this movement, what's going to happen, how the day is going to go, there's planning this, planning that, looking at this, looking at that. And that movement creates an illusion of continuation. The sense of identity can exist even stronger, right? Because me is going to do this and me is going to go there. And you know yourself then later during the day, how much of the plans that you have been making, how many are not going to work at all, how many are going to work very differently than what you thought. And I say, if I was to speak to the logic, I would say again, ask yourself the question, if you really were the doer, if you really had the power to do it just the way you planned, just the way you want to, wouldn't your day or your days or your life or different events in your life go differently, right? If you really had the power to do it differently. So we know already we can't just rely on our understanding, even though we have to begin there. We can't rely on our understanding when it comes to the question of doership. We really have to switch. We really have to let go, even for a moment, on our reliance on the mind and look very, very directly, with this question, is anybody doing it? Is there really anybody here doing it? Are there? Then the movement of presence that naturally arises here. And that's really where even saying that, I want to take a moment. The movement of presence that naturally arises here. And when it comes to the practical moment by moment experience, like how do we apply that moment by moment? And often there's a misunderstanding where we think, well, if things are going easy, that means we are more aware of there's no doer, right? If things are challenging or difficult, then it means there's doership happening. And there's some truth to that. There's a certain relative part of truth in which, as Ramana was saying, what's meant to happen is going to happen no matter what, right? So there's some natural momentum towards certain things. And then what's not meant to happen is not going to happen, no matter how hard you try. And so there's natural resistance or no momentum towards certain things. But most of the time we really still, instead of looking for the deeper movement, we still evaluate our experience. We simply, aware or not, judge our experience. So we are still involved with the content rather than with the source of it. Where is it coming from? So it's not so much a question, is it easy, is it difficult? It's more a question, what is the movement that powers it all? And is there a movement that powers it in this moment? Good, beautiful. So again, we can shift for a moment into the actual experience of that. And another little practical thing, because we are going to continue with this exploration. And again, I want to say, I want to, especially I'm speaking to or in particularly, I'm speaking to my returning students. This really is a deeper dive into this subject. And so we are going to continue with that and also speak about karma, destiny, free will, because it all really comes together. The real understanding of it, the deeper understanding and experience of it, it all really works together. And I'm also going to speak more about the role of the teacher in awakening, and dreams and visions. What does that mean, in the process of awakening? But really the invitation is to, switch out of focusing on content or on the quality of our experience, and really start shifting our attention to presence and to really noticing or relying on that movement that is prior to the mind. And one more practical sharing here. I wanted to just remind you that the moment you think you want this or you want that, or you want anything to be different than it is, or your mind is moving in all these directions, I want to invite you to really practice the reframing of it into what we really want is to be here. Good, beautiful, because then we are able to be present to and face whatever is really moving, right? Whatever is really happening in a moment. And that brings us into a deeper level of rest. Beautiful, beautiful. And in that deeper level of rest, we are aware of what's going on or what's not going on, or where things are moving and where they are not moving, or more aware of how things really are. Good, beautiful. So again, I want to invite everybody to join us for these coming 2 weeks. If you like these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. We want more people to benefit from this. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon.